Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to the Freelancer commentary. Let's rescue the president, dudes!
There you are. I've uploaded the coordinates to the jump hole. Trent, take the lead. King and I will follow you. Let's go.
Colonel Zane, I'm hoping you can bring Jacobi back alive. Do you know how important she will be for the Order in the days ahead?
Yes, sir.
This is as far as the Osiris can take you. The jump hole to the New York Badlands is in the debris field a short distance from here. You will meet Walker at Buffalo, inside the Badlands. Aurelian out.
So, yeah, as you can tell, now we are working for the Order, and we've also switched ships again to what is basically the final story-centric ship you can get, and I believe the only time you have it, so if you're gonna change ships for, later on in the post-game, there are more powerful ships than this, but I mean, this should more or less serve you well for the purposes of the final few missions, with our current ship right now, the Anubis. Again, I did recommend picking up some Rhineland weapons in the Bundschu base, since they are a little bit more powerful, but yeah, either way, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, by the way, we're currently in the New York system, and we're taking a jump hole to the New York system. Huh? Internal jump holes? Wonder what the fuck's going on? But then again, I suppose maybe this is more for criminal use as opposed to, typical trade lanes and jump gates, so acquiesced really. We're really just sort of using this to get to the Badlands, and yeah, if you are willing to explore the Badlands, if your reputation was decent enough, yeah, this would basically be where you'd find access to the Liberty Rogues base and, get access to the Dagger ship early on. The Dagger ships basically being the ships that, the outcasts of this system would have been using, so, yeah. Which, as I mentioned in a previous part, probably one of the better ships you could use next to the Heavy Defender that, Junie's flying, so yeah, in any case though, it's good to be back in old stomping ground, but it's changed. It's not the safe place we thought it was. Well, but now we're a bit more experienced and powerful, they're a bit more experienced and powerful. It all evens out really, and even though they're still using weapons like, Justice Mark IIIs and whatever else, and, Star Pulse weapons, yeah, basically, because of the fact that, equipment has to scale, and they even do lampshade this in the game itself, saying that, again, because of the fact that Liberty's been infiltrated by Nomads, yeah, some experimental and a bit more powerful equipment is available to them. But, I mean, again, this is something I've been talking about as early as, the Sean Ashcroft mission where Brandon Rowlett was killed, as one of the Freeport 7 survivors. Again, I mentioned that if you are brave enough to take them on and have enough countermeasures to survive their onslaught of torpedoes, yeah, you find them using Nomad prototypes. Yeah, so now that we know who the Nomads are, alien weaponry. And, again, the thing about the Nomad prototypes, if you do happen to get some of their weapons, is that, I do believe that they don't actually use, like, any of your, yellow powered energy for, a very inelegant way of putting it, but, yeah, they don't use a lot of energy, but they are very slow to fire, which, again, is some of the trade-off that you do get with some of the more powerful weapons, particularly with the Flame Curse weapons that you can pick up in Rhineland. So, yeah, you do need to make sure that, you really know what sort of build for a starship you're going for, and just, sort of sticking with it, really. In any case, this is Buffalo Base, where the Liberty Rogues are. Again, I mentioned it beforehand, and, while we are just making basic commute, really, we are pretty much here to reconvene with Marcus Walker, who, if you'll remember, was one of, Junie's closest friends in the Liberty Navy, and, that basic all-American dude who was happy to be here. But yeah, onto the salient point that I was talking about before, yeah, for a future playthrough, I do actually plan on, maybe experimenting to see if I can get my reputation decent enough with the Liberty Rogues at the beginning of the game when you're, at your most hostile with them, so I can get the Dagger and just sort of experiment with a playthrough, seeing how that ship functions compared to anything else, but yeah, who knows really. I guess maybe for story purposes, you need to remain good with, the LSF and Liberty Navy and whatever, so really, who knows, maybe it might be, locked for the sake of story, or whatever else really, since, at this point we're still treasonous to the LSF, even though they're infiltrated by Nomads. It's kinda weird like that.
Son of a, I thought you were dead!
So did I. Trent, flying for the Order. Giving up freelancing for a real cause? I'm impressed.
It's the only one worth fighting for now. I hear you've got a line on the President.
Indeed we do, but we'll have to hurry.
Come on, let's get to work.
Pilot 1-1, this is Buffalo. You are cleared for launch. Good luck out there.
Trent, good. We just received a message from Aurelian with new orders. Everybody ready?
I have to rejoin my attack group on the far side of the Badlands. I'm sorry that I can't come with you now, but we'll meet you as planned at Zone 21.
Understood. We'll see you at the rendezvous. Trent, take point.
Dearie me. It's good to see Walker again. Friends that we haven't seen in ages. But yeah, we do gradually get a little bit more about what Walker's been doing in the meantime as we meet up with him and whatever else. But yeah, basically after, parting ways with King, yeah, he's more or less been, on the run between the border worlds, just taking out Rhineland depots and, eventually making tracks, meeting the Order and, finally finding purpose in life, as very much his ironic words are brought to Trent. Yes, indeedy. Oh man, we've finally found purpose other than just doing things for money. Which is kind of funny when you see some of the mission descriptions where it's like, this isn't about money anymore, this is about the survival of humanity, so... yeah, finally seeing the bigger picture. In any case, so as we access yet another jump hole, we finally get to see what all the hubbub is about Zone 21. Now, Zone 21 is a place that you can technically sort of access early on in the game. It's pretty much right next to the battleship Norfolk, I believe. Yeah, basically what that has to do with anything else. Is it the battleship Norfolk, or am I thinking of something else? Waste. In any case, it's next to a Liberty battleship, and basically, there's a shitload of mines that'll basically kill you on contact, and, let's just say there was a reason for that, because it's also there where, Liberty's top security prison is located, and indeed, well, a lot of their experimental dealings going off in a very story-related system called the Alaska system. So yeah, again, this isn't a place that I don't think you can access. Well, maybe. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you can't access it again, similar to the Tohoku system, where again, after the whole thing with Takagi went up, even though there is a Blood Dragon's base there, you can't access that system ever again. And in similar case to Zone 21 with, the Alaska system, yeah, I don't think you'll be able to access it ever again. I mean, especially considering some of the massive war crimes that you've committed right now. But yeah, this is definitely going to put you through your paces, and, I mean, if your shield goes down, bear in mind what I mentioned before, and wings can get blown off, equipment can get damaged, and, yeah, needless to say, it's not a fun time all around as you try and destroy the weapon platform and satellites. But, I mean, yeah, in any case, just try and take out the satellite as quick as you can, and, bada bing, you should do the thing, and, hopefully you'll survive to live it and fight another day. Oh, of course, have to destroy the enemy ships, because fucking why not? No witnesses, I suppose. Ah, well, they're possessed by aliens. Or, so I assume. Or they're working for aliens. And that's why they must be stopped. But yeah, in any case though, I mean, just to sort of talk about the Alaska system, yeah, story-exclusive system, and one that really only exists for, the whole rescue President Jacobi kind of thing. And again, as Aurelian had stated, it's either rescue or terminate. But yeah, that also brings us back to our next talking point, Caspar Aurelian, the leader of the Order, who certainly is a far cry from Sam Lonigan. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Aurelian as a character, again, he's very distant, but at the same time, he also has, like, yeah, again, like, he's very calm command, and, again, like, I mean, he makes for a very great, sort of reassuring commander sort of presence, really.
He's a good captain, I trust him with my heart.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of other people who've sort of been chased out of the thing, he didn't create the Order, obviously, since it's been around for quite a while longer, but yeah, again, he was one of Liberty's top-ranking agents, and was basically forced out of the position, as you heard in the last part, and yeah, we pretty much know his backstory. He was the one who pretty much slipped the Osiris out from under Liberty's thumb, back when the Nomad infiltration was beginning to make itself known, so obviously Aurelian's position as commander is still fairly recent, and to sort of talk about that a little bit in terms of how the Order was formed. I don't really know whether or not this is still canonical, but again, as I mentioned beforehand in the cut intro to Freelancer that basically showcased the Nomads showing up in our Milky Way galaxy, they basically fired a salvo of missiles into Earth's sun, ended up destroying not only the Coalition after the Alliance escaped, but pretty much every other planet in the solar system, save for the dark side of Pluto, where one Alliance ship, featuring a pilot by the name of Atticus Rockford, pretty much made it his mission to make it all the way towards the core worlds and warn them about the Nomad threat. So, yeah, again, I'm 95% sure that this is non-canon, so, again, Atticus Rockford basically being the formation of the Order might be taken with a grain of salt. But, yeah, even in that case, though, it would go out of its way to sort of explain why the Order is as, you know, long-standing as it is, and why humanity would have such a vested interest in, you know, putting a stop to the Order at all costs. I mean, putting a stop to the Nomads at all costs. Yes, the Order wants to put a stop to themselves. Hence the Order. Loose lips. But in any case, though, as we get on to some trivia. Yeah, but again, as I mentioned before, that is also part of the reason why, again, it isn't possible to visit Earth or our old solar system and see if the Coalition is still there, because, well, again, according to that cut intro, it isn't. That being said, though, and I do remember seeing this, I think it was around back in, like, 2006, 2007, I do remember there being, like, a fan mod. I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically, like, acting as a sort of pseudo-sequel to Freelancer that would have basically allowed you to explore both the Sirius systems and our old solar system, as well as interacting and seeing what the Coalition was like, you know, several decades later, and, you know, also visiting some old planets in, you know, our old galaxy, so... again, I've never played that for myself, mind you, because again, I've never played a modded version of Freelancer, but mind you, I think it would be quite interesting to have seen how that mod played out, if it was ever finished, or if it was maybe something that's become abandonware in the years since, but I don't know. Would have been a very cool speculative thing to have seen, as we see how, again, in the same way that, you know, American, Hispanic, British, and, you know, Japanese and German culture has evolved in, you know, the Freelancer universe, indeed, how Chinese, Russian, and North Korean culture would have adapted, you know, in the eons since we've been gone from, you know, our solar system, and how they've sort of grown with and various political systems. Whatever. The point is that I think it would have been a very interesting story path to take, necessarily, in terms of thinking about a Freelancer 2. But I mean, that's neither here nor there in this case. In the meantime, though, again, as we make our way towards Zone 21. Yeah, good stuff, really. Not quite as difficult as it's going to be, but yeah, again, in keeping with a lot of... Again, I know it's a Pavlovian to say that, you know, a lot of these missions in the late game are going to be quite difficult, but, yeah, no more is this apparent than, well, as we try and escape with President Jacobi, because, I mean, to kind of spoil things here, let's just say we do get to her in time. It's also just a matter of the fact that, again, we're pretty much going through very illegal territory. I mean, again, it's pretty much the equivalent of, like, entering a military zone here, so, needless to say, you're not getting out very easily. Well, I mean, again, compared to real life, though, I mean, Trent at least has the ability of, you know, having a powerful spaceship with, you know, a secret organization at his beck and call. Everybody else has nothing, really. And I don't think conspiracy groups have, like, spaceships or military-grade equipment. As far as I know, anyway. Whatever.
Got it. The gate's unlocked. Trent.
Yay, woohoo! The gate's unlocked. We can save the president.
But then again, well, I think we need to check our rad levels, dude, to see if we're a bad enough dude to rescue the president. Red thrust engines. That truly shows that how you're much more powerful, because it's red, that means danger, not yellow, that means normal. And that's also one of the problems with docking, you know, either with space stations, planets, or jump holes / jump gates here. What I'd recommend doing, actually, is that, you know, again, you get as close to proximity as you possibly can towards the jump gate, and pretty much get through that way, and yeah, that should prevent you from taking a lot more damage when you're stationary in that little docking maneuver than, in fact, you otherwise would be. But in any case, yeah, there is a space station here. Never get to dock with it in the entire game, never know what's on it, so... yeah, kind of odd, really. But yeah, this is a very story-exclusive system, and one that's also a little bit mysterious.
We should be at the prison shortly.
Walker, you know this is a dead-end system. We have to take the same way back out.
I don't have an easy answer, King. It doesn't matter until we get Jacobi.
That's sounding very suspicious. By the way, Walker, have you ever heard of a gentleman named Botzler? No reason why I bring that up, I just think you make some pretty good friends. You know, I mean, maybe just take a turn 6 feet under and pay him a visit one of these days. It's on the house. But in any case, though, mystery is a creepin', dudes.
Something's wrong. The prison station should be hailing us by now.
I don't like this. The docking port's alive, but there's no other activity. It's almost as if all the guards are asleep.
Or dead. We don't have any choice. Maybe we just got lucky. Ready your sidearms. I'll dock first. Trent, you're next. Then King.
Oh boy. Yes, indeed, they got the guns going out, so, yeah, prepare for probably one of the more action-packed cutscenes in the game, and, well, I mean, again, rather surprisingly, actually one of the few, and actually I think the only first full appearance of what a physical, fleshy Nomad actually looks like. So, yeah, enjoy the cutscene, and I'll catch you dudes and dudettes next time. See you later.
I don't know. Looks like a trap.
Madam President, I'm glad to see you're awake.
Reed. What's the meaning of this?
I'm sorry about your shoulder. We tried to dress it as well as we could. He requested that you be taken unharmed.
Who? Reed, you traitorous snake. Who requested? The Chancellor.
I'm glad to see these fools didn't damage you too badly, my dear. But time is short. I wanted these few minutes to plant a seed, as it were.
Any idea where they're keeping the president?
Let's find out, shall we?
I won't rest until I see you pay for this.
I understand your anger, Madam President. I was misdirected at first, too. But then I had my mind open to other possibilities, as you will.
Is that the Chancellor?
Just shoot! Madam President, you all right?
What the hell did you want? An engraved invitation?
Look, I didn't...
You were just gonna let that thing attack the president?
I'm sorry, I haven't gotten used to killing political figures on sight yet.
Trent, did he look like a human being to you?
I'm telling you,
Watch out!
Burn, you son of a bitch.